who's on because I can't.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
Cindy Butts,
Present.
Wendy Clark,
I'm
Heidi
here.
DeWenger. Oh, hi, Wendy.
There she is.
Heidi DeWenger.
Here.
Kylie said she had a conflicting appointment right now.
Okay.
Commissioner Mascara Bruno. Lisa Tepper Bates.
Present.
Greg Ugalde.
Present.
Great. So I think that's a quorum. Should we wait for Selah, Nandini, do you think, or should we just plow on?
Get started. Let's plow on.
Okay. All right. Welcome, everyone. So our first action item is a resolution regarding the prepayment and then subsequent financing of Clifford House, which is in Bridgeport, Connecticut. And I think Joe's going to present for us.
I am. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. Before you is the action to approve financing for Clifford House as well as the prepayment. And staff is proposing the approval of a tax exempt bond financing in an amount of up to $13.5 million. And also additional loans of up to $650,000 from CHFA's Affordable Housing Fund. The tax exempt bond financing will be in first position, and the affordable housing funds, if needed, will be a second priority interest loan. We expect both loans to have terms not to exceed 35 years, but the combined amount of both loans will not exceed $13.5 million. Additionally, we're requesting that the board approve the prepayment. The existing owner has an outstanding loan of approximately $356,000 with CHFA, but the transaction does meet the prepayment program and parameters previously established. So we are requesting that approval in conjunction with the financing approval. So Clifford House is a 101 unit development in Bridgeport. It's very prominent on the streetscape. It's a tower style development constructed in 1979. It's been owner constructed, operated, and managed since that time. Capitan Associates Limited Partnership was the original developer, and upon transition of the family ownership, it's been most recently operated by the Rousseau portion of the Capitan family. Related had responded to I guess an offering that was very attractive. Most developers sought to acquire this property, and Related is the successful buyer, and they have presented this proposal back in January, and we've been working on it ever since. The structure would be 80 of the units set aside for 60% of area median income. 20 units will be set aside for those at 50% of area median income, and the one manager's unit will be available for site staff to occupy. Despite these AMI levels, the actual tenant income of the population there is extremely low. Having reviewed the rent roll, some of the incomes barely exceed $15,000 to $20,000. So there's going to be no issue in terms of the existing population meeting these income requirements. Related's proposing a series of various improvements from building envelope and common area improvements, as well as kitchen, bathroom, and flooring upgrades within the units, in addition to ADA improvements. The renovation budget's approximately $3.7 million. The development team, highly skilled, Related has assembled a really good team here. Silva Petroselli is the architect. Related will manage the property upon completion. And A. Papa John has been identified as the construction general contractor. This would be their first venture with CHFA, but we reviewed their qualifications and found them to be acceptable. As many of you know, Bridgeport is a highly dense and has a fair amount of affordable housing. But again, to have this amount of density in the down city area proximate to services and transportation is extremely valuable. And with the restriction agreement expiring fairly soon, we were very, very pleased that we were able to work with Related to not only improve the property, but extend the affordability for another 40 years. As we mentioned, the financing structure has a couple of tranches of debt from CHFA. The additional funding is coming from cash flow during operations and a deferred developer fee from Related. The total cost of the project is about $24 million. And part of our final structuring is going to be loans that will have terms of at least 35 years. The final structure is to be determined. This interest rate environment has been difficult to predict in size debt. So hence we have the up to approvals of $13.5 million, which is all the property really needs to be feasible. Based on this $13.5 million loan, the loan to value is approximately 71%, loan to cost about 56%, based on these up to amounts, which both meet CHFA's requirements. The property has a project-based Section 8 contract. We have been working in conjunction with the local HUD office on the transfer of physical assets for Related, as well as the subsidy layering review that will renew the HAP contract for another 20 years. And as such, when the contract is finalized at closing, Related will be amortizing rate at initial closing to put those higher markup to market rents in effect right from the very beginning. Dawn, if you could move down just a hair. Next page. Thank you. So the strengths, obviously, we have a very secure permanent mortgage here. We are preserving a very high number of units in downtown Bridgeport, and we have a very feasible plan that meets CHFA's financing and tech services requirements across the board. And again, the property is proximate to services that many of the residents need. Challenges here, we continue to talk about inflation and cost of materials and labor, but in this particular instance, as a preservation deal, this is going to be less affected by the cost of lumber and mechanical systems and more in the finished material arena. So hopefully the fluctuations aren't going to be considerable when the property is finally renovated. With that, I would request your approval for the proposed actions, and happy to take any questions you may have.
Okay, thanks, Joe. One comment I just wanted to make, in my prior life, we did a lot of construction projects with Papa John, and they're a first-rate, absolutely professional, great construction company to work with. So I think you'll appreciate working with them.
We're looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think they're a really good source, so for projects that they tackle hard projects, difficult projects, and they're good at it. So that's a good choice. And my only
Oh, I'm
question,
sorry, it's Lisa, if I may, just really quickly, I just wanted to say, Joe, really good work on this, because this is a lot of units and preserving the affordability is so important. I don't know all of what went into getting this to the finish line, Joe, but you always work hard, and I'm sure that you worked extra hard on this one. But given the quantity of units that are going to be preserved, this is a real home run. So thank you. And Heidi, you know better than I do, but everything that I've heard about related is exactly as you've said. So what a great project. Thank you, Joe.
related to, I was curious though, with this number of projects, I was surprised at the cost to renovate is low. I assumed it would have been higher. But I'm assuming we do a cost analysis and that we check that it can be done for that price.
Sure. So a capital needs assessment was done. Those immediate and near term repairs and improvements were incorporated into the work scope here. As a Section 8 property, historically, it has enjoyed a very good cash flow stream. So, they've been able to maintain the property. It was only in recent years that the property fell into disrepair in terms of the main elevator breaking down and management not renewing, the HAP contract. But once we replaced the management company and restored the revenue stream, the interim management company has done a great job maintaining this and making it in top-notch condition for sale.
Okay, great. Other questions or comments?
So I just have one, Joe. When you were mentioning some pretty impressive stats where we have the 80 units at 60% of AMI and 20 at 50, it seemed like you could have been a little more aggressive, even in the narrative. So I guess my question is, does it do the project any good to highlight those extra deep the effective cuts that we have? In other words, like if let's say that there's 30 units at 50% of AMI, or because it sounded like it was even more aggressive than the 80 at 60 and the 20 at 50. Would that help anything along the way, even reporting wise?
I think the issue is that although it's unlikely, it is still a project-based Section 8 contract. And in the event that the contract goes away, we don't want to have too many units income restricted at those very low area median income levels, because absent the HAP contract, they wouldn't be able to service the debt otherwise. So while we want to do as much deep rent skewing as possible, we also stress the financing to make sure that if the HAP contract went away and there was a transition of the tenant base, that the owner could still support the debt service.
Okay.
No, I
Anybody?
have a question. It's Wendy.
Yes.
You talk a bit about relaxing some underwriting requirements related to a cell phone tower lease. Does that lease term run with the term of our mortgage, and are there restrictions on amending that lease?
Any of the leases would require our consent and approval. The length does not go for the full term of our mortgage. However, the income also wasn't factored into the sizing of the debt. The change is that, and we have had this conversation at various times in the past, where we've incorporated commercial space into some of our developments, and those commercial spaces haven't been able to be rented. So there's been some concern about having high vacancy rates for commercial income. But in this particular instance, the cell tower revenue is contractual. So that's why we reduced the vacancy on the cell tower revenue, because the owner has deferred a significant amount of their fee. We wanted to make sure that for modeling purposes, that cash flow would be able to support the retirement of that deferred fee.
Thank you.
Other questions? Comments? Okay, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second it. Dawn, can you call the roll, please?
Sure. Cynthia Butts,
Yes.
Wendy Clark,
Yes.
Heidi DeWeingart,
Aye.
Commissioner Mascara Bruno, Lisa Tupper Bates,
Aye.
Greg Ugalde.
Aye.
The vote
Sounds like
passes unanimously.
Thank you. Okay, second up on our agenda is the resolution regarding the financing of Shiloh Gardens, which is located in Stratford. And it looks like, is it Trayvon that's going to present?
No, it'll be me, Debbie.
Oh, okay, Debbie, sorry, thank you.
That's okay. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
I am requesting approval of funding to the Stratford Housing Authority for a construction to permanent first mortgage in an amount up to $1,950,000 at an interest rate of 5.73, up to 5.73%, with a construction term of 24 months and a permanent term of 30 years. This is taxable bond financing. There are no tax credits in this deal. Payments would be interest only for up to 24 months as the property undergoes rehabilitation. I'm also seeking approval for a second mortgage of up to $100,000 at an interest rate of 0% with a construction term of 24 months and a permanent term of 30 years from the Affordable Housing Fund. No payments would be due on this during the construction period, and annual payments of 20% of cash flow would be due during the amortization period. Shiloh Gardens is an existing elderly development containing 60 units in 7 one-story cottage-style apartment buildings, plus a community building, all located in Stratford. The development was built in 1960 and is part of the state-sponsored housing program portfolio. It consists of 20 studio units and 40 one-bedroom units. Each apartment has private front and rear access with accessible one-floor living. 13 studios and 12 one-bedroom units are restricted to households earning up to 25% of the area median income. And 7 studio and 28 one-bedroom units are restricted to households earning up to 60% of area median income. 25 units in the development do receive Section 8 rental subsidy. The Housing Authority is seeking funding to address issues related to the condition of the property. The scope of work includes parking lot and sidewalk repairs, site lighting replacement, fence replacement, and dumpster enclosure replacement. Exterior building improvements include new roofs, doors, windows, and sidings. And interior improvements include kitchen and bath renovations, new boilers and baseboard, new electrical panels in the community building, and a new emergency generator. This development benefits from an agreement with the town of Stratford to permanently waive a payment in lieu of taxes. The town also provides weekly trash pickup and snow removal services. Tenants are responsible for electricity charges, but heat and hot water are included in the rent. The Stratford Housing Authority was established in 1943 and currently owns and manages a total of 514 federal and state apartment units. This development and 3 others are in the CHFA SSHP portfolio. Only one currently has financing with a grant from DOH. All reporting is received from the Housing Authority on time, and the last site visit found all properties were in acceptable condition. The 2020 audit showed that the Housing Authority does operate with positive cash flow. The GC for this will be PAC Group of Torrington. They have successfully completed other SSHP renovation projects, including the recent renovation of Herbert T. Clark in Glastonbury, Eastwood Court in Norwich, and Stern Village in Trumbull. Antonazzi Associates will be the project architect. Prior CHFA developments include Kelleher Park, Cedar Village, and New Meadow Village, all in Newington, as well as Bijou Square in Bridgeport. And CHFA has not experienced any issues with this architect in the past. J. D'Amelia and Associates, based in Waterbury, is the development consultant. Steve Ball is assigned to the development and will participate in all aspects of the transaction, including financing application submission, negotiation of contracts, preparation of budgets, and other financial documents, assisting with the closing and participating in job meetings during the renovation. J. D'Amelia has vast experience with CHFA and DOH finance projects, most recently with Spencer Village in Manchester and Millbrook Village in Windsor. Stratford is a town located on the eastern border in Fairfield County. It is bordered by Bridgeport, Trumbull, Shelton, and Milford. It is a non-exempt municipality on the Affordable Housing Appeals List, with only 6.29% of its housing stock characterized as affordable. The immediate neighborhood is residential in nature. A local bus stop is within a half-mile walk from the property, and this connects residents with shopping, medical facilities, and other commercial establishments. There is also a park, a convenience store, and a few restaurants within a half-mile of the development. The appraised value is $5.9 million, which gives CHFA a maximum loan to value of 33% and a maximum loan to cost of 34%. Staff did receive authorization to waive the requirement for a separate market study and the ability to rely on the market analysis included in the appraisal. This was requested because the rents at the property are very low. They're about half of what the HUD fair market rent is for the area and about a quarter of the average market rate rent for the area. And we wanted to save the Housing Authority a little bit of money by not requiring a separate report. Property does maintain an extensive waiting list. The total development costs will be $5,364,000 and $364,513, or $89,409 per unit. Construction costs will be $3,941,262, or approximately $65,688 per unit, and $127 per square foot. The hire of Davis-Bacon or state prevailing wages will apply since this is a Housing Authority project. The proposed financing structure includes a first mortgage of $1,850,000 from CHFA taxable bonds, a grant from DOH Flex program of $3,190,275. This was already approved by the Bond Commission in December of 2020. We are proposing a second cash flow mortgage of $100,000 from CHFA's Affordable Housing Fund. The property will use $174,920 of existing reserves and will receive energy rebates from Eversource of about $49,318. As I mentioned, 25 units do benefit from a project-based Section 8 contract. This 20-year contract was executed in 2019. The property is currently fully occupied and maintains a waiting list. To enhance the development's ability to support this proposed debt, the Stratford Housing Authority did implement a rent stratification in 2019. This has allowed the minimum base rent for each unit to be sized on the household's income. The additional revenue has helped the development to cover operating expenses and will allow the development to cover this proposed debt service. Renovation work will be undertaken with residents in place and relocation will not be needed. A vacant, furnished, sanitized unit will be provided for families to use while renovation work is taking place in their unit. If for any reason a temporary unit is not available, a tenant may be placed in a hotel briefly. The strengths of this transaction are the 25 units covered by the Section 8 contract, which exclusively serve very low and low-income elderly households. The development offers studio and one-bedroom units with private entrances, one-floor living, and emergency pull cords and grab bars. The community building includes a full kitchen. There is a gazebo and outdoor benches on the property, and this transaction will update the physical condition of the development. Challenges are the development does have very low rents. Operating expenses are also below the CHFA expected range. And there are the typical challenges with the ongoing pandemic for a renovation with residents in place. Mitigating factors for these challenges are the 25 rental subsidies. The owner does continue to stratify the rents to increase the income, and the loan to value is very low. A mitigant for the low operating expenses is the fact that the town does provide some services such as snow removal and trash collection, which reduces the operating expenses. And also the town has permanently waived the tax payments for the property. Are there any questions?
I'm
Go ahead, Wendy.
Thanks. I'm a bit curious about how location works, especially compared to last project that we just reviewed. In this project, it seems a bit non-committal, like, we'll set aside one unit just in case we need to move folks, but the idea is folks will stay in place. How do we assess that? I mean, the two renovations are being done in the same environment. Are there sort of internal policies that CHFA looks at? Is there a HUD requirement here for relocation? How does that work compared to the last project we just discussed?
I think it goes by scope of work. So the scope of work in the interior of the units here is very minimal. There's going to be some kitchen and bath upgrades, and that's about it.
And to the extent folks complain that they want to be moved, is there money set aside for moving?
Yes,
people
I
to
believe there is
hotels?
money. Yeah, there is some money in the budget just in case that does happen. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, other questions, comments?
So Debbie, what is the procedure? It sounded like the bond money was approved in 2020. How long would they have had with that open, being able to set it up like this? It seems to be a good deal as it's structured, but it took some time after the approval.
Correct.
Did they still had plenty of time to get this done, or did they need an extension?
No extension has been needed. I don't know for sure that there's an expiration on that bond money. This development team did take quite a while to get to this point. And then, with the pandemic and the prices changing, we had to kind of look at it over and over again to get to this point. But they have done their construction bidding. They are satisfied with their costs, and we can finally move forward.
So 2 years seems, I mean, I know there was a pandemic, but I think that's what Greg was saying. 2 years,
Yeah.
Almost 2 years seems like a long time.
It is a long time.
And is it, because I've worked with the PAC group as well. Who would you say has been slowest? Is it the PAC group?
No.
No. Is it the town?
No, I
No?
believe it's the development team. We've had similar experiences with delays on developments that this particular consultant works on. They work with many housing authorities. I think they're stretched a little bit thin. They have recently hired additional staff, so we are starting to see things move a little quicker. But unfortunately, this one was kind of caught in the delay.
And do we set some, I mean, I know we said it's 24 months, I think, completion, which also seems like a long time based on the fact that the work is not very extensive or super extensive. So is that something we can sort of keep their feet to the fire on?
Yeah, I don't believe that's the actual term. That's our standard construction period. Right. But if it does go faster, which it does, and I'm sorry, I don't know offhand exactly how long they've proposed, but it's not the full 2 years. But we will seek to final close it as soon as the renovation work is complete, even if that is less than 24 months from now.
Okay. All right, more questions, comments? Okay, is there a motion?
I'll
So
make the
moved.
motion to approve.
Second,
Thanks, Greg. Thanks, Lisa. Okay, Dawn, could you call the roll, please?
Of course. Cynthia Butts,
Approve.
Wendy Clark,
Yes.
Heidi DeWenger,
Aye.
Lisa Tupper Bates,
aye.
Greg Ugalde.
Aye.
The vote passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda are the minutes from the May 24th Mortgage Committee meeting. I was not in attendance, so hopefully others have looked at it. Are there any comments, changes, concerns? If none, can someone who attended it, provide a motion to approve?
So
I'll make
moved.
a motion to approve.
Thanks.
There
Greg
we
and
go.
Lisa.
We got one. I'll second.
Okay, all right. All in favor? I'm gonna have abstain. Thanks, Lisa. Greg, it's good.
I abstain as well, Wendy.
Okay, thank you, Wendy.
Oh, I wasn't there, but I was approving.
Heidi, I would just offer for the good of the order, and whoever is our lawyer present can perhaps comment on this, but in a town hearing where this same issue was surfaced, that we needed people to be able to vote on posting of minutes if they were not at the meeting, because otherwise we were going to lack votes. We were informed by the town attorney that a vote on the minutes is not a vote to approve the content, it is a vote to post them publicly. So we were advised to consider it in that light, that the question of making changes for accuracy is separate from voting to post them. And again, if we have legal counsel with a different opinion, I see Terry. Terry, that's what was explained to us. And so that's really relevant for those of us who find ourselves in this situation.
Yes, Lisa, I mean, it is true that you do not have to be in attendance at the meeting to vote to approve, but I always defer to the board member because they may not feel comfortable doing that. And if there's enough here to approve, and if someone wants to abstain, I would typically defer to them. But yes, that is correct. What you're saying is
Right. And as an attorney who also focuses on corporate governance, it is my personal preference to abstain. But I've heard that explanation as well, Lisa. I just personally prefer to abstain.
And here we do it similar to how she described it. We typically say, are there any edits or corrections to the minutes? And then if there aren't any, then most of us are comfortable approving it.
Okay, well,
I guess we all have different ways of
Lisa's-
doing it.
yeah, well.
Right, and I think Lisa's point was just that when you're in a pinch, you do know the rule is that you can, because I think especially in summer months, a lot of organizations end up in that predicament where you need people, you need a quorum to be able to pass it. So, but
Right.
yeah, everybody should do what they feel comfortable doing.
Well, in this case, based on the minutes, it looks like there were 4 members present. Sayla's not in attendance, or at least she hasn't been for this meeting. So that leaves Kylie, Lisa, and Greg. But Kylie's not attending. So now I only have 2 present members who can approve. I
I'm
read them.
comfortable
So
voting. I'm
I'm
comfortable
happy.
voting yes.
yes, and I am as well. So why don't we call the roll for this approval, if you would, Dawn, and that way we can formalize this.
Of course. Cynthia Butts,
Yes.
Wendy Clark,
I abstain.
Heidi DeWenger,
Aye.
Lisa Tupper Bates,
Aye.
Greg Ugalde.
Aye.
The vote passes with 1 abstention.
Okay, great. Okay, next on the agenda is the single family report. Not sure who's presenting.
That's me, Lisa Hensley.
Okay, Lisa, hi.
Hi. Well, as we look at the report, you'll see that there continues to be an increase in reservations and purchase loans over 2021. So the report looks very similar as the last one. If you want to go through, Dawn, we can kind of look at it. So in originations, there's been a 46% increase, and the purchase volume, there's been a 63% increase during the same period in 2021. And the next one. Go ahead, Dawn. Okay. One thing I found interesting is that in comparing this report to the last report, the towns with the highest delinquency rates, Hartford and Waterbury, traded places. But Manchester replaced, Manchester replaced Bristol. Bristol's not on here anymore. And then, of course, New Britain and East Hartford are the same. So there's been some movement there with the delinquency rates.
Do you have any indication as to why that has changed?
No, I don't. I'm trying to find out where the information came from so I can dig a little deeper into it. But I did happen to notice that, and I thought that was interesting, and I should look into it. So
okay,
I'll definitely have some hopefully answers next by the time we have maybe the board meeting, if I can get the information.
Okay.
And then we're also continue to have an increase in the number of DAP loans that we are issuing from 2021 to 2022. We currently have over 53. Oh, next one. Thanks. Active reservations. There are 244 for 53 million, and we've had 956 purchased so far this year for 128 million. And again, the geographic distribution by county really hasn't changed. And the next page, the ethnicity has not changed. There's very little variable there. The race and demographic breakdown hasn't really changed, and nor has the gender. Average borrower age went up to like 38 from 37, so not a big change there. So on the next page, we have the emigrated towns, that, where the borrowers moved from. And the only difference I see here is that Manchester and Bristol reversed their position. Okay, so more people moved from Manchester this time than from Bristol. And then the next page will show where they moved to, and those have all remained the same as well. One additional thing I'd like to update you on, though, is that we did launch the Time to Own program, and that launched on June 13th. And through yesterday, we had already received 21 applications for Time to Own for over $650,000. Additionally, 6 of the applications of the 21, which would be like 29%, were in high or very high opportunity areas.
Remind me how that program works.
That's the one that is the forgivable, that you can get up to 50,000.
Mm-hmm. Great, that's
Yeah.
terrific.
Okay.
That's in less than 2 weeks, or just
Right,
great.
exactly. So
Wow.
that was it for me.
How do you are communicating that program? What kind of media are you using?
Well, we've had a lot of I have to tell you, it seems like it's spreading like wildfire, but I think it was mostly just announcements that have been made publicly that everyone has been, and interviews that Anthony has done on radio, and that kind of thing. That's what we're doing. But I have to tell you, the phones have been ringing. We're struggling just keeping up on the phone calls. So whatever means they're using to get it out there, it's definitely working. But I think a lot of it was media.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Heidi, can I ask a very quick question of Lisa? Lisa, could you go back to the map that you showed the district or the pie chart of distribution across the state?
For the,
Yeah, that one.
okay.
Is this as it should be? Because it seems like we're doing really well in Hartford, but it sounds like there's a pretty tremendous opportunity to do whatever is succeeding in Hartford and to expand the reach in other parts of the state, right? We usually think of Hartford or Greater Hartford as about a quarter of the state, and it's obviously much more here in terms of a share of our market. And I'm just wondering about that.
And I don't really have an answer for that. I can ask Marcus to look into it. What I have been doing is pulling, I'm in the process of pulling reports for all of our lenders to see where our coverage is and who's covering those areas so that we can take a look and see where we're lacking and what we need to do to expand our outreach in those areas. And that's definitely something that we're looking at doing, this year is really trying to reach certain areas that we feel are not necessarily being served.
I think I also have another sort of data point that might help. One of our top producing lenders happens to be based in Hartford County and does a ton of business with CHFA. And I think what Lisa's referring to is trying to figure out sort of how we would maybe even the playing field a little bit so that lenders we don't currently do a lot of business with, are able to bring more business to CHFA. And with this program, we have one opportunity, but that could be why the data is a little bit skewed. Hartford, you're right, is a small percent, it's a smaller percentage than the data. We have a very active lender that does a lot of CHFA business. So that could be why this is happening.
Which is great. That's terrific that we have such an active lender. It would be, I think, just an opportunity to figure out how do we replicate that and get more activity? Because, for example, it seems to me that Fairfield County is particularly underrepresented. So maybe it's possible to figure out what the best couple of opportunities are and see what could be done there. Just a thought. Be glad to hear, Lisa, after you have a chance to look into that more, what your thinking might be.
Sure. And I have been looking, like I said, I've been looking at our lenders, which ones are not, maybe located in areas that there should be opportunity, but they're not really producing. And I said, that's one of the things we're looking at. We have a business development officer starting that is going to help work on that as well. So hopefully we'll see some changes as we go forward.
Great.
I think Wendy has her hand up.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, no, Lisa nailed exactly what I was going to ask about. It'd be interesting to see who the lenders are, where they are. So thank you, Lisa.
Okay, great minds think alike. Anybody else? Comments? Well, good report. Thank you. Okay, and the final item we have on the agenda is the multifamily report from SEMA.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. I'll present the multifamily activity report. So the development spotlight for this month is Market Square in Newington, and the owner mortgagor is an entity formed by Related, and the scope was minor moderate rehab. It's an elderly housing with 75 units, and you see some pictures of exterior renovation work, window replacement going on. It has CHFA DEBs and LIHTC, and all the units have been placed in service, and we are anticipating final closing in September.
Great.
Next page. Okay, so this data is as of beginning of June. So the first tile is the competitive 9%, and since we awarded the 9%, this pile has grown. So there are 21 developments pending initial closing, and the projected units there are 1,257, out of which 1,046 are affordable units, and the projected TDC is about half a billion. Wards pending final closing are 11 with 628 units, and 494 of them are affordable units. The second tile is for the non-competitive LIHTC 4% and miscellaneous CHFA funded projects. We have 11 developments under review with a projected unit count of 1373. Most of them are affordable, as you can see, and the projected TDC is 353 million. Applications pending final closing are 34. And again, most of the units are affordable. The next tile is for SSHP, CDBG capital grant projects. We have 4 developments under review, with 222 units, and applications under construction pending final closing are 17 with 872 units. And below are the 3 donuts. And once again, it's the middle tile, the non-competitive 4% LIHTC and miscellaneous CHFA funding that leads in terms of total TDC, total number of developments, and the total unit count. We have an active HTCC round underway. We have 25 applications under review. The open awards for HTCCs are 64 developments, and we have about 29.2 million awarded for that. The SSHP critical needs, we have 19 applications awarded with 547 units, and the grant awarded is 3.6 million. On the next page, yeah. So this is for the community engagements and conferences. Early June, staff attended the new Neighborhood Inc. Open houses. They were located in New Milford, Newington, and Bridgeport. They were very well attended by the staff and tenants alike. Mid-June, 6/17, CHFA leadership and staff attended the ribbon cutting for Windward Apartments in Bridgeport. And then we had the NCSHA Housing Credit Connect conference held in Chicago. CHFA leadership and staff from multifamily attended it. There were several interactive roundtable panel discussions. I believe it was an amazing conference. 6/22, staff attended an open house hosted by Board of Directors of Community Housing Advocates in celebration of 40 years of providing housing and supporting supportive services. And the executive director shared board's vision for this place for the years. And other news, we are reviewing the DOH Spring 2022 DEP applications. 48 applications were received, and it's a mix of new construction and preservation deals. And approximately half of them are located in suburban areas. Meetings are underway. There were no initial closings in May. We may have had one initial closing in early June. I'll report on it next month. There were 2 final closings in May, Hill to Downtown, 49 Prince Street, and Hannah Rad Group 3, both properties in New Haven. And then is chart showing projects that you may see in the coming months. These are Valley, Hill Central, McConaughey, Pliny, and Northside terraces. Again, it just depends on how we receive due diligence items that would dictate the board timing. Lastly, is an upcoming transaction that we are looking to get to board in the coming months. It's Hill Central in New Haven. The owner mortgagor is Hill Central 1 LLC. It's an entity formed by Westmount Development Group. And the developer is Westmount Development. And the person we are dealing with most is Rick Ross. Scope here is demo and new construction, family housing with 64 units, 13 are supportive, and 51 of the units are affordable. In terms of the scope of work, it's an existing 72 unit development, and phase 1 calls for demolition and replacement of 32 units and an addition of 32 new units. All residents will be relocated on site, so there's no displacement necessarily. 32 units will continue to be subsidized by Section 8 HAP, and 19 new rental subsidies would be obtained by Elm City communities. This project is designed to meet passive house standards. And then you see some pictures of the existing property and renderings of the proposed project. Any questions? Any feedback?
Seema, are you seeing any slowdown in applications and projects because of the interest rate hikes?
Yes, yeah, we are seeing that. The big tick this month was really the 9% bucket because of the awards. And I think it is impacting the applications and even applications reaching the initial closing mark because of those reasons.
So you have to resize everything.
The construction pricing is such a gamble. Every month it increases, so
yeah.
That.
Other questions, comments?
I just wonder, Seema, are you seeing any leveling off of the compounding increases in construction materials, or does this seem to be, with no end in sight?
I'm thinking we are seeing a little bit of stabilization, but the prices continue to be high, and with the rising interest rate and inflation, it's not helping. But I think the supply chain is getting a little bit better.
Okay, that's good. Anybody else? Any other comments? Questions? Okay, thank you. That's all I have on the agenda. Nandini, do you have anything else?
I do not. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, everybody. I guess we'll speak on Thursday.
Thank you.
Thank you for your flexibility of changing the time. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Okay.
Do you
Thanks,
need a
everybody.
motion to adjourn?
We do need a motion, Lisa.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good
Bye-bye.
day. Right, bye.